Good afternoon, class. Today we are going to work on question 3 of paper 1, Life Sciences, grade 12. Please note that in this section or in this presentation, we're going to talk about the central nervous system. We are going to talk about the plant growth hormones. We are going to talk about various hormones and so forth. So basically, I want you to understand that question 3 is all about some of those things. So without wasting any time, I want us to quickly go through the question paper. We have got also uh, this presentation on YouTube notes. On our notes is there or videos which actually analyzes the human brain, which we need. I said that in paper 1, as we go to exam, we always need to know that is the cerebrum, is the corpus callosum, we have got the medulla oblongata, and then we have got the cerebellum, cerebellum. So I was saying always that you always need to know very well that when you go to paper 1 exam class, you should be able to know and label these and give their functions. So the question is basically saying identify identify part A, which I have already mentioned that part A is the cerebellum, the one that is found on the lower part of the main brain stem. So it is called what? The cerebellum. It is the cerebellum. That is A. The functions I'm saying, if you can go and check on our notes on YouTube, we have got content that has got videos explaining and analyzing the human brain as part of the central nervous system, as part of the main brain, as part of uh, the communication link between the cerebellum, the brain and the spinal cord. So please just not go and check on that. Identify part identify part A and state identify part A and state one function of part C. Part A we have already identified, and then what is the function of part C? Identify this function of part C. Part C is the corpus callosum. Corpus callosum, we said that C is what is corpus callosum, and then what is its function? We need to understand that corpus callosum basically it connects the two hemispheres of the brain. It actually connects the two hemispheres of the brain. That is the function of this of the corpus callosum, actually promoting communication. It supports communication between them. Communication, it facilitates communication between the two hemispheres, communication between the two hemispheres. So the corpus callosum, how do we see it? If you can see on the human brain, it is always given that we have got this part of the brain cell, which is actually there to separate the northern and the southern hemisphere of the brain. So now what happens is that it facilitates communication between the two hemispheres of the brain. So it is the corpus callosum. Sometimes it is shaded, sometimes it's just left like that. So you need to know very well that the corpus callosum, it is there. It supports communication between the two hemispheres of the brain. And then A person sustained a head injury in a car accident and lost his memory. Memory is lost. Write down the letter and name of the part of the brain that was affected. When a person loses, uh, uh, we are saying when a person has lost memory, he was in a car accident, we need to write down the letter and name of the part of the brain that was affected, part of the brain that is responsible for memory. What part of the brain is it that is responsible for memory? So you know very well that, as I said, that the cerebrum, it is mostly important for, it is actually mostly important for memory. It is for, we are saying, the question is saying identify the letter and name. So it is the cerebrum that has been damaged, sustained head injury, and lost memory. Write down the letter that was affected, letter and name. So it is the cerebrum, it is letter D. It is letter D. And always when you are answering these questions, please class, check out that you don't make mistake of answering only one piece of the question instead of answering the whole question. So you need to know very well that the question is fully answered. Cerebrum. The question wants you to write the letter and also the name. So it is the cerebrum that you need to, that has been damaged, where the person has lost memory, and then the letter and name. And then imagine during an emergency situation, gland E releases hormone that prepares the body for fight and flight response by stimulating an increase in breathing and heart rate. And then this increase leads to an increased energy production in the skeletal muscles, which has to have energy in order for the body to not to shut down. So an increase in the blood carbon dioxide levels. There is increase in the blood carbon dioxide, which has to be released also out. So now the question is saying it was an emergency situation. The fight and flight responses are controlled. Name the hormone secreted that is responsible for that. The fight and flight responses, we say that they are controlled by the adrenaline hormone. And if you can check again on YouTube channel, our Metric Hub, there are questions that are done, which you also find out that this has been analyzed in terms of the human endocrine system. It has been well dealt with. It has been well uncovered. Please check in the adrenaline hormone. I'm saying check on our Metric Hub channel. Keep following. Check previous videos. You'll see that don't go to exam without getting the right information. And then explain how an increase in breathing rate and heart rate results in increased energy production. You see, this question, it is all about increase in energy production, which is caused by an increase in breathing and heart rate. So in other words, our question wants us to comment on the process that results in energy, which is respiration. So one thing that is happening is that when there is an increase in breathing, we are saying one, we have got more oxygen will be taken in. It results in more oxygen. More oxygen is inhaled when there is an increase in breathing. And then which result we are saying causing blood to be pumped fast. Blood will be pumped fast or faster. Let's say blood will be pumped faster because we are saying there is an increase in breathing. So there is to be a faster distribution of this oxygen. Therefore, transporting oxygen and glucose to what? To the skeletal muscles. And oxygen and glucose are transported to skeletal muscles are transported to skeletal. They are transported to skeletal muscles, which actually results in an increase, which actually will result in increase the rate of cellular respiration. So, like I said, respiration must increase. In it means therefore respiration is increased, or it is increased because we are saying more energy is produced. The factors that result in more energy production, or metabolic process that results in more energy production in the body, it is what? It is respiration. So we are saying glucose and oxygen and glucose are transported to skeletal muscles, so therefore resulting in an increase of respiration. Respiration increases. So the question wants you to explain how an increase in breathing and heart rate results in increased energy production in skeletal muscles, which we say that it is a respiration equation that you need to understand. The process of respiration is what you are accounting on. Therefore, if you remember very well, we said in simple terms, we said that respiration we say that it is a process by which, in other words, glucose is taken to skeletal muscles for respiration, because we said glucose plus oxygen, which we said that is being increased in breathing, is equals to carbon dioxide, plus water plus energy. So what we are saying is that this is the conclusion, or this is the summation of the analysis of what we are talking about. Glucose is metabolized because of an increase in oxygen. Therefore, we have got more energy that is produced and carbon dioxide also given out. You understand? Describe how part B is involved in carbon dioxide homeostasis. Describe how part B is involved in carbon dioxide homeostasis. Part B is involved in carbon dioxide homeostasis. So in other words, we are talking about the medulla oblongata. Explain how the medulla oblongata is involved in the balancing of carbon dioxide. So what we are saying is that uh, our answer, like I said, every time you always have to start by identifying B, which we said is the medulla oblongata. We need to identify that is the medulla oblongata, which is stimulated. It is stimulated and it sends a signal, uh, or it is stimulated and send signal to the heart, send impulses to the heart, so that and actually to the breathing muscles and costal diaphragm, to the heart and breathing muscles and breathing muscles and diaphragm. The condition here is that medulla oblongata is the part of the brain that is responsible for balancing the breathing process. So therefore, what we are saying is that it is stimulated. So therefore, a signal or signals are sent to the heart, and also breathing muscles. It is sent to the heart and breathing muscles and the diaphragm. So then more blood is transported to the lungs and carbon dioxide is exhaled fast, causing more blood. It causes more blood uh, to more blood to be transported to the lungs. Is transported to the lungs, and carbon dioxide is exhaled fast, resulting in release of carbon dioxide, and finally the level of carbon dioxide, the level of carbon dioxide, it returns to normal. I also want to refer you to say again, refer to the channel again, class, that these homeostatic processes, they are well analyzed. They are flow diagrams that simplifies this whole process. So now you need to be able to understand, you need to be able to know, and you need to be able to relate very well what is taking place here. So in other words, what you need to know is about the functions of the medulla oblongata, which actually identifies the increase in carbon dioxide in the blood. So therefore, what happens is that it has to be, blood must be pumped to the lungs, and then it is supposed to be, it is therefore where gaseous exchange will take place, which results in carbon dioxide being released, and then it finally returns to what? To normal. That's what we need to take note of. Let's just check the next question. The table shows average rate of blood flow to the skin at different environmental temperatures. Blood flow, which we are talking about, in this case, if you are to work, and as for matric students, I'm sure the moment you see this one, you are only going to also relate about temperature regulation. You are also going to think about thermoregulation, the regulation of temperature, which I'm sure that you understand the physiological changes that has to take place in order to control temperature. So we have got environmental temperatures that are given here, and we also have the average rate of blood flow to the skin, which is in milliliters per 100 milliliters tissue, and then it is given also on the other column here. So first question is saying, give the environmental temperature at which there was the greatest average rate of blood flow to the skin. So the greatest blood flow to the skin, you can actually see from the graph. You need to see where we have got the average environmental temperature is the one that is given on the far left, and then the average rate of blood flow is also given on the far right here. So now what I'm saying is, the question wants where there was highest or where there is greatest average blood flow. Greatest blood flow, you have to look on the figures that are given here. So we have got 2.2, 2.4, 4.5, 11, 18, 19. 19 is the highest. And then what needs to be known is, what is the environmental temperature where we have got 19 milliliters. What is that? So we have got the temperature is 50 degrees Celsius. We have got the 50 degrees Celsius that we have, which is given according to our graph there. It's a matter of reading what is shown on the graph. And then the next question is saying, describe the relationship between environmental temperature and the average rate of blood flow to the skin. So we need to look at that to say, what is the relationship? Let's just look at it to say the relationship. We are saying we are looking at what is exactly shown. So at 0 degrees Celsius, we have got 2.5, and then as it goes, we have got 5, and then it goes to 4. We have got 20 degrees Celsius, we have 4.5, and we have got 35, and then we have got 11. So what is happening is we are seeing an increase. These two are increasing. They are increasing both. When temperature increases, the flow of blood to the skin increases also. So the relationship that we need to talk about there is basically to identify that an increase, or as temperature increases, the average rate of blood to the skin increases as well. As temperature increases, the average flow of blood is increasing as well. We are seeing an increase in temperature, which is also resulting in an increase in flow of blood to the skin. Naturally, that's what has to happen, or when temperature increases, the flow of blood to the skin must also correspondingly do so in order to control that temperature, in order to facilitate evaporation, in order to release the radiation, in order to facilitate radiation or loss of heat from the what? From the skin. And then calculate, a nice question, calculate the percentage increase in blood flow between 5 degrees Celsius and 35. Therefore, we need to show our working between 5 and 35 temperature. Calculate the percentage increase in blood flow between 5 degrees and 35. 5 degrees, we have got at 5 degrees, at 5 degrees, at 5 degrees, what do we have at 5 degrees? At 5 degrees, we are saying at our 5 degrees, we have got, what is the flow? At 5 degrees, we have got 4 milliliters. And then it is 5 versus 35. At 35, at 5, it is 4. We have got 4 milliliters. And then at 35, we have got 11. At 35, we have got 11 milliliters also. And then the question is saying, calculate the percentage increase in this. So what we need to do is we say final increase minus initial over initial times 100. So it is the final temperature minus initial temperature over, we are saying divided by initial multiplied by 100, because the question is saying percentage multiplied by 100. So final temperature, when we talk about increase, we say final temperature minus initial over initial times what? Times 100. Our final, it was, it went to 11 minus 4 over initial over 4, and then we say times what? Times 100 over 1. If you go through, you put it on our calculator, you would find out that if you want to go the long way, you can do it, but you can press it on your calculator. Then you can find out that we can have an abnormal increase of 175%. 175%. Explain the average rate. Explain the average rate of blood flow to the skin between 20 and 45 degrees Celsius. Explain the average rate of blood flow to the skin between 20 and 45 degrees. The average flow between 20 and 45 degrees. So we are saying between 20 and 45 degrees, the average flow between 20 and 45, 20 and 45 degrees. So we are looking at that. So now what we need to understand is that the temperature, we are saying, to explain that, we are saying as temperature increases from 20 to 45, vasodilatation occurs because we have got at 40, at 20, it is 4.5, and then at 45, it goes to 18. So the question is saying, explain the average rate of blood flow to the skin between those. So one, we are saying temperature, as temperature increased from 20 degrees to 45 degrees, as temperature increased from 20 degrees from 20 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius, what happens? We are saying vasodilatation occurs. Blood vessels do open up. The blood vessels do open up. They dilate. They open up, which we say dilatation. It occurs. And then to increase the rate of blood flow so that more blood will flow to the surface of the skin, and then heat, so that heat is lost to the atmosphere. That's what happens there. That's what we need to understand. That's what we need to understand, to say that an increase in temperature results in vasodilatation. Vasodilatation, wide opening of blood vessels will take place. Therefore, more blood will flow to the surface of the skin, resulting in the loss of heat in the atmosphere. Therefore, we are saying when heat is lost, the temperature will therefore decrease. The temperature uh, can also, we are saying the temperature can also decrease. So what you need to understand is that when the temperature is low, less blood will flow to the surface of the skin, and therefore what happens is that would have also the vasoconstriction of the blood vessels. The blood vessels will also vasoconstrict. So let's look on question 3.5. Frostbite is a condition where long-term exposure to extremely cold temperatures leads to the death of tissue in areas like the hands and feet. Frostbite, we have seen that when it is too cold, you find out that the hands get so cold, or the feet. So it is a term that it's a condition where long-term exposure to low temperatures results in death of tissues in the areas of the hands and the feet. So use the data from the table to explain why tissue may die. Tissue death, we can actually see that what happens with tissue death, low blood, we are saying, as you can see there, we have got blood flow when it is zero, at temperature zero, we have got 2.5 at 0 degrees Celsius, and then we have got 2.5, which is shown there. So now the question wants us to account on saying, why do we have frostbite taking place when temperatures are low? So what happens is that in this case, we need to know very well that it's just what I just basically was almost explaining here, that one thing is that less blood flows to the skin at low temperatures. Less blood flows to the surface of the skin at low temperatures. At low temperatures, low blood flows to the surface of the skin. And therefore, what happens is less oxygen nutrients reaches the cells of what? If no blood flows to the surface of the skin, therefore, what happens is that we need to understand, therefore, that less oxygen or nutrients are resulting in less oxygen or nutrients reaching them. Less oxygen or nutrients reaches the cells of the tissue, and cells may die. Oxygen or nutrients will reach the cells of the tissue, therefore the cells may die. So the cells may die because we are saying on cold times, there is less chances that the blood will flow to the surface of the skin. Hence, the cells remember that they must be surviving, they must be alive. So by them not being alive, by them not receiving oxygen and nutrients, they will already die. So frostbite may result in that case. Frostbite may result in that regard. You understand? So the cells are dying because of deprivation of oxygen and nutrients. Uh, Describe the negative feedback mechanism. Next question, it is saying, describe the negative feedback mechanism that occurs when thyroxine levels in the blood are high. I'm saying also, I want you also to refer to channel again. Refer to channel again, because it is actually described, it is actually explained the negative feedback mechanism in terms of the thyroxine levels. In terms of the thyroxine levels, I will just tell you that you need to know that which gland is responsible. You need to understand that the pituitary gland actually is responsible. The pituitary gland actually is supposed to be is stimulated. The pituitary gland is stimulated. What happens is that to secrete what? Less TSH is stimulated to secrete less thyroxine stimulating hormone. And therefore, we are saying the levels of low thyroxine stimulating hormone, what happens with that? It low thyroid stimulating hormone, it causes the thyroid gland, causes the thyroid gland to secrete the thyroid gland to secrete less thyro thyroxine. Less thyroxine is secreted, and hence it returns to normal. And hence it returns to normal. So in this case, class, what is expected of you is to understand that the pituitary gland is actually stimulated. So therefore, it results in less secretion of thyroid stimulating hormone, and therefore the decrease in thyroid stimulating hormone affects the thyroid gland. Remember that the thyroid gland is activated by TSH. It is activated by thyroid stimulating hormone. So if it is less, the thyroid gland will secrete less of thyroxine hormone, and hence it returns to normal. And then we talk about the negative feedback mechanism when the thyroxine level is too high, when we have too much high thyroxine in the blood. So it's all about the decrease in thyroid stimulating hormone in the body, in the blood. The thyroid stimulating hormone must be less. It has to be less because the thyroid gland is stimulated not to secrete it. It is deactivated, so therefore it secretes less of that. So the thyroid gland will therefore secrete less thyroxine, and then it returns to normal because there is no activation for its secretion. 3.2, we have got a person has a medical condition that results in under-secretion of thyroxine, and explain why this person will gain weight if the thyroxine level remain continuously low in the blood. So a person has got a thyroxine, has got a medical condition that actually that results in less, that results in under secretion. We said it's hypothyroidism. Hypo means less, and therefore what happens is that explain why this person will gain weight if the thyroxine levels remains continuously low in the body, in the blood. So in this case, what happens is that rate of metabolism in the body decreases, and less glucose will be broken down, which is exactly what we need to talk about. We need to account it in that regard. Uh, the rate of metabolism, the rate of metabolism uh, in the body decreases. Rate of metabolism, it decreases, and then less glucose will be broken down. Less glucose, less glucose will be broken down. Less glucose will be broken down, and more glucose will be converted and stored as what? As fat, resulting in it being stored as fatty, being stored as fatty or glycogen. I'm sure I remember very well that the issues or the is fatty or glycogen. Glucose is its storage form is glycogen class. I'm sure I remember. So the rate of respiration decreases, and therefore less glucose will be broken down, resulting in that glucose being stored as fat or converted into glycogen. So what happens is that the person will continuously gain weight because we are saying the person will gain weight if the thyroxine level remain continuously low because there is less metabolism, there is less, it is due to less of respiration, and therefore resulting in accumulation of what? Of resulting in accumulation of fats. You understand? That's what is happening in this case. And then we can actually look at question 3.4. 3.4, it's actually a group of learners conducted an investigation to determine the effects of auxins on growth of stem in bean seedlings. The procedure was as follows. We want to conduct the effect of auxins, and then we'll look into that. So we have got that conditions there, and then 30 bean seeds were allowed to germinate for 5 days. They were allowed to germinate for 5 days to produce seedlings, and the seedlings were divided into 3 groups, which are 10 ABC and of 10 seedlings each. The tip of all the seeds were cut at the same length. In group A, the cut tip was placed back on top of the young stem, and then B, the tip was not placed back. So we are saying it was cut and replaced on A, and B was not replaced. And then we have got group C, the piece of plastic was placed on top of the cut surface, and the tip was then placed on top of the plastic. The seedlings in all the groups were placed in dark cupboard for a week, and the growth of the stem was then observed. So here are the questions here now. We have got these groups, we have got these different seedlings that are given groups A, B, C, and the first one was cut and replaced. The cut was removed, and then there was a plastic which was put on top of the cut part. And then this question is saying identify the dependent variable in this investigation. Identify the dependent variable in this investigation. So we are saying that this question, you always need to understand that an investigation was done to determine the effects of auxins on the growth of stems. So we are looking at auxins and also growth of stem. We are looking at auxins and stem growth. So stem growth and what? And auxins, effects of auxins on stem growth. So identify, the question is saying identify the dependent variable in this investigation. So you can see that auxins and stem growth, we say that whenever you are given this question, you are able to derive the dependent and independent variable on the two variables that are in question, where you say an investigation was given or was done to determine, where we say an investigation was done to determine what and what. So auxins on the effects of what? I mean the effects of auxins on the growth of stems. So auxins are affecting the growth of stems. So the auxins are independent, and then the stem is dependent. So we are saying in this case the dependent, it is the growth of stem is what is dependent. The growth of stem is dependent because we are saying we are looking at, I said it is auxins versus stem growth. It is auxins versus stem growth. So auxins are affecting the growth of stem. So this one is what is independent. Is independent, and then this one is what is dependent. The dependent variable, we find out that the stem growth is depending on the effect of auxins. Growth of the stem is what is the dependent. And why did the learners cut the tips of the young stems? Why did the learners uh, cut off the tips of the young stems? This is an application question class, which we discussed again on effects of auxins, or in terms of effects of plant growth hormones. So plant growth hormones, we said auxins are produced. Auxins are always produced at the tip of what? Of stem or a root. So in this case, the learners cut the tip of the stem. The tips of the young stems were cut. So in other ways, the learners wanted to remove the source of auxins to get rid or remove auxins, or avoid the production of auxins, to avoid the production of auxins, or to remove auxins, or to get rid of auxins. And then give one reason why 10 bean seedlings was used in each group. You remember to say, in terms of this is just 10 beans, it is the size of sample. So in other words, the sample was made big. Why do we have to make the sample big? Sample was made big or large enough. So why was that? This is done to increase reliability of the results of the investigation. To increase the reliability of results. We can say also to increase the validity of results. It is also correct to say that the validity of results is improved by increasing the sample size, repeating the investigation, keeping one person doing the research and the investigations, maintaining the environmental conditions, and so forth and so forth. The next question is saying, write down the letters A, B, C of the groups where there will be no upward growth of the stem, where there is no upward growth of the stem. So the upward growth of the stem, in which one can we have no upward growth of the stem? Which one can we have no upward growth of the stem? We are saying write down where there will be no upward growth of the stem. So you see in A, the tip cut and replaced, we have the tip being present, tip replaced, here removed. On C again, it is removed because you see on C, the plastic was placed on top of the cut surface and the tip was then put on top of the plastic. Hence, this tip cannot attach. There is no attachment. There is no attachment here. There is no attachment here again. So therefore, we are saying B and C cannot be able to have growth because we are saying where there will be no upward growth of the stem, it is in B or C because the tips are removed. But anyway, here is not asked to say why, but we are just giving the reasons here. Describe how auxins cause apical dominance. Describe how auxins cause apical dominance. This also refer to channel again. Apical dominance is actually explained. Please check, and please check. It is well explained. There are questions that comes where there will be more marks than these ones. So describe how apical dominance, how auxins cause apical dominance. One, we are saying the presence of auxins in the tip of the stem stimulate upward growth. One, presence of auxins, presence of auxins, presence of auxins in the tip of the stem actually stimulate upward growth. Stimulate upward. It stimulates upward growth and inhibit the development of lateral buds. And it inhibits development of lateral buds. Or we can say side shoots. So auxins basically allows upward growth, and then it inhibits also the development of lateral buds. Remember, we talked about the functions of auxins last time. We've been talking about the functions of auxins. Auxins always are there in order to facilitate elongation of cells and also to prevention of growth of lateral buds. So that is one thing that we need to understand in that case. And then name the plant hormone other than auxin that promotes the germination of seeds. Seeds germination is controlled and stimulated by what? By gibberellins. We have got gibberellins are responsible for promotion of seed germination besides the auxins. I'm sure that we still remember. And then inhibits the germination of seeds. Inhibits the germination of seeds. It is abscisic acid, which we said also it promotes dormants, because you might find it in the next question where you are asked to identify the plant growth hormone that promotes dormants. We are saying it allows promote plants to survive stress. Plants are able to survive stress because of the gibberellins. And then the last question is here. We have got the last question. Name the type of fertilization that takes place in bottlenose dolphin. We are saying white bottlenose dolphin. We are given here. What happens with bottlenose dolphin? We are given that the bottlenose dolphin are three aquatic. There are three aquatic species that are found in Indian Ocean. The adult tuna releases about this a number of eggs in water annually, and wild great releases 2 to 12 offsprings through ovivipary every 2 years. A bottlenose dolphin female, being a mammal, is viviparous and produces offspring every 2-3 years. I'm sure we are talking about the forms of reproduction. We talk about refer to channel. Again, in terms of forms, we are saying reproduction in what? In reproduction, refer to channel. Refer to channel again, class. Refer to channel, this one. Refer to channel, please. Let's have a reference to channel. It is well explained. Reproduction in invertebrates. It is well explained. The forms of reproduction are the courtship behavior and all those. So the type of fertilization that takes place in this form of organism or in this fish, the form of reproduction that takes place in this uh bottlenose fish is we are saying that it is what? It is internal fertilization. Internal fertilization. It's where fertilization takes place inside. You see that the adult dolphin releases eggs into the water annually, while the great what female produces 12 offsprings. Uh, as we are talking about the form of reproduction, every year the bottlenose is a mammal. It is a mammal which is a viviparous. Viviparous organisms, what they do is they carry pregnancy. They are the fish because why are we saying that it is internal? Because it is a vivipary organism, meaning to say it carries pregnancy. It has got pregnancy. Pregnancy can only be taken by organisms that have got to do what? Do internal fertilization. Explain how two of the reproductive strategies of the great white shark increase its reproduction. Explain how does it increase its reproduction, its reproductive success. How does it increase its reproductive success? So what are we saying? One, we are saying internal fertilization increasing the size of internal fertilization that we are talking about there. Internal fertilization, what does it do? Increases the chances of fertilization, increases fertilization, it increases fertilization chances. And then we are saying of ovipary eggs retained inside the female's body where they are protected. Eggs are retained inside the body where they are protected, and then there is no predation where they are protected. So let's just finish the last party. Explain one reason why the bluefin tumor releases large number of eggs. This actually has to do with increasing the chances of fertilization to increase fertilization chances, uh, which also or number of offsprings. that can be produced. So what we are saying is that as eggs may be lost to predators, and there is also environmental factors that can also affect these eggs, uh, because the eggs are exposed to predators and other adverse environmental conditions that will destroy them. So many eggs must be produced. Many eggs must be produced because some of them might be destroyed. Some of them might be destroyed. So we are saying that many eggs must be produced in order to increase the chance of fertilization or number of offsprings that can be produced. Chances, number of offsprings. There is also exposure to predators and also other dangerous environmental conditions. Hence, we are saying that is why they have to release large number of eggs. Thank you very much, class, for your time, and have a beautiful stay. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep following the channel. Have a beautiful stay. Let's look forward to many other revision segments that are coming. Thank you, and all the best. Keep sharing and liking our videos.